Hello, my name is Martin Phillip, and welcome to another episode of Bake With Us. We're here at our home in Vermont, which is quite sunny today, and we have some delicious stuff ready to go. What's your name?
Arlo Phillip.
That's Arlo, and behind the camera, as always, is Anthem. So let's jump in. Arlo, will you start egg washing those buns?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Okay, today we are going to make beautiful burger buns. Beautiful burger buns. Now, let me get on my soapbox for like 2 minutes. So in bakeries, we think about different types of dough as falling into sort of groups. So we have some doughs which have butter and eggs. We have some doughs which have no fat. We have some doughs which use sourdough. And so the reason I mention that is because when I see a dough that has butter and eggs, I don't just think of burger buns. I think of, ooh, I could make Danish with that, or I could make hot dog buns, or I could make a loaf pan. Similarly, if it were a dough like we might use to make baguettes, I also think, oh, we could use that dough to make pizza, and we could add olives to it, or we could make fougasse. So the point is that when you see a dough that has eggs and butter in it, and maybe a little bit of sugar, for example, you might think, hey, that's a hamburger bun recipe, awesome, I can use it for hamburger buns. Well, what I want to show you is that you don't have to sort of stifle your creativity. You can let it flow a little bit and you can turn it into some other things. If you've watched the other videos, you've seen me do that with something, for example, like challah, where I made rolls and I made a braided loaf, and we could have made cinnamon buns out of that as well. Yeah, anything else to say about that? I don't think so. Okay, so let's divide. What I want to do first is divide this dough, which I mixed earlier today. And I already said the word brioche. Brioche is an enriched dough, and some people had actually asked that I do brioche, and I probably will at some point, but I thought, I've done a lot of stuff that takes 2 days, and I know that that can be frustrating if you're new to baking and you're like, wait, I thought I was going to make bread, not wait. And brioche involves some waiting. This involves less waiting, so that's why I've made this dough today. Okay. So this dough is definitely ready to divide. If you look, you can kind of see that if I press on it, do you see how the imprint of my finger remains? It's definitely a very active dough. This dough has quite a bit of yeast in it. And like I said, this is the beautiful burger bun recipe. Beautiful burger bun recipe. Okay. So this is a double batch, and what I want to do is, if you make a single batch, it makes something like 8 pretty big buns. I doubled it because I want to make some buns, but I also want to make cinnamon rolls. So I'm going to divide it in about half. Half of this should be around 750 grams. And so I'm using my scale. I mean, you could eyeball it too. I like the scale because it's accurate, more accurate than my eyeballs. Okay, so in order to make the cinnamon rolls, what I'm gonna need to do is to get this into a rectangular-ish form. And so sometimes, like if we tried to roll that, how are those going over there?
Good.
Pretty good? Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you take these sesame seeds and also these poppy seeds and sprinkle them on there pretty heavy. Pretty heavily. Yeah, with your fingers. With your fingers, best tool. If you tried to do that with a spoon, it would be pretty hard. Okay. This, like I said, this recipe makes 8 buns. Those are big buns. Maybe even bigger than, I don't know, I could probably eat a hamburger that big. But I also like making them kind of small and having like sliders. And so maybe I'll do a little bit of both. I'll do a little bit of both. So let's do the big ones, when they go into grams, translate to about 90. And the small ones I do at half that size, so about 45 grams. If you don't have a scale, you just divide the dough into 8 pieces. Or if you want to have the smaller ones, you divide it into 16 pieces, no big deal.
Wait, so I should do this better?
Yeah, so let's see here.
There's not.
If you hold your fingers, look here. If you hold your fingers a little bit higher, it goes on a little bit smoother, right? Or it goes on less clumpy, look at that.
Oh yeah.
So if you hold it just a little bit higher. So yeah, exactly. And don't, go pretty heavy on there. Don't be shy. And if it looks like it's like that one didn't get any egg wash yet, so make sure that you get it nice and covered. Don't be shy with the covering there.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, you're gonna work on that. I'm gonna keep dividing. We'll divide and conquer. The recipe says that you can brush the buns with butter, I think. I am a big fan of egg wash, so 1 egg, just loosely beaten, and then painted on, because egg browns really nicely. The protein that's in the egg browns really nicely in the oven, so I like that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's get one more at 90, and then I'll do a couple small ones at 45. What am I doing here? Too big. 45. 45. This has been a really popular recipe. I don't know, it seems like it's had a lot of traffic on the website, so I would say that it must be a good recipe. And if you come down to the end, you've got a couple little pieces like that. Like, definitely never throw that stuff away, just add it to your other dough. Okay, you almost ready to go in there? Close. Keep trucking. These are almost ready. Maybe they're pretty close, huh? So those are our cinnamon buns. I'm gonna pull them out. Let's go ahead and get this done because we gotta get room for these guys. So, I like pretty heavy with the seeds. What else you could put on here? Let me throw these in. Someone's at the door. Hold on. Arlo, go get Mom and tell her someone's at the door. Or you go check it. You got it? Okay, Mom's got it. All right. So, let's see here. Okay. Come here. All right. So, the cinnamon buns are done. And I'm going to show you how we got to this point. But first, I want to turn them out, okay? So, watch this. The way I do it is I put a tray like that. And then I carefully invert them. This is like a 9 by 13 pan. And I'm just going to let that sit for just a second and let them fall out. Okay. All right, come here. Oh, Mom almost had a cameo. You're in and out. Okay. Okay. So, I am gonna round these real quickly.
Those are small.
Those are small. Hey, will you set me a timer on those? I'm trying to think, probably like 15. Let's start with 15 and see how that goes. Okay. And then Arlo, you can do your thing. If you want to come over here and
fold them in.
Yeah, fold them in. Yeah, you can fold them in.
It's got tough dough.
Yeah, it's a little bit stiff. We'll get to the mix. We're going to talk about that in just a second. It's a dough that you don't want to be too stiff, because if it's too stiff, they won't be tender. They won't be as tender as we would like them to be. And so,
yeah.
I need another tray. I'm like, okay, all right. Let's see here.
Can't really round this.
Yeah, as long as it's sort of round, that's good enough. That'll be just fine. Okay. You have another little one there. Okay, you keep going and I'll tray them up. You keep doing the shaping. And I'll be the guy that does the traying up part.
Okay. Good idea.
Okay, there's that. And I'm taking the round ones. When you put these on trays, you want to make sure that they are evenly distributed. You don't want them to be all jammed into one another, so make sure that they're nice and evenly distributed. So there's that guy. Good job. And You want to keep going with that? I tell you what. Should we do one nice and slow so people can see? Let's see here. How's that look?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? Pretty round? Okay. Maybe I'll do one slowly so that people can see. So I'm just folding to the center. If you've watched any of these videos, I think everything that I've made in these videos just about has this motion where I'm kind of making them round. And if you feel like you've been making burgers and they go too high, you can just give them a little bit of a mash before you set them down, and that's not a bad idea. Generally, this is a pretty soft dough, so it generally will not need it. How's that going?
Pretty good.
Okay. Got one more? All right. So now we'll set these aside. This could even go on a smaller tray. We don't even need that. And you might even be able to put them all on one. Let's see here. Did you set me a timer? You did, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I think you said that. Yeah, are those gonna fit? Maybe not. All right, so we'll set them aside. These are gonna need probably an hour, 60 to 75 minutes to proof or so. Now listen, while these proof, they need to be covered. Figure out a way to cover them. Figure out a way to put them in a moist spot. Oftentimes what I will do is I will put them into the oven. Leave your oven light on, or maybe turn the oven on for just a moment, like a couple of minutes to allow it to warm up. And then put them in there, and usually what I do also is I put in some boiling water so that they have a little bit of steam. It's going to help them to rise more evenly. Check them during the rise and make sure that they are not they're not drying out. If they are drying out, just take a pastry brush with a little bit of water on it and just give them a little paint, just so that they stay tender and moist. That's very important. Okay, for now, I'm just going to set those guys aside. Should we look at these cinnamon buns real quick? Let's look at these, and then what I'm going to do is I'll shape the other one. While that's there, I'm just going to cover it. If you have a dough sitting out on the counter, make sure you leave it covered. Let's see if these guys are going to come out. Okay, looks like they are. Okay, nice. Okay. Anthem. A funny story about Anthem, who is behind the camera, is that she for years never wanted a cake. Do you want cakes now, or still only cinnamon runs? So cinnamon buns. Okay, yeah. So Anthem has pretty much always, only, and forever wanted cinnamon buns instead of a birthday cake. So not only do I have this dozen, I have another dozen, which I'm going to put together in just a second.
Don't
so
you have
people
a mix though?
What's that? Yeah. Well, I already have that dough divided. This is the dough we're gonna make. I have this other dough here, which I'm gonna roll out in just a second, so that everybody can see how to do it.
What about the mix?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a mix too. Yeah.
Ooh, yay!
Yeah. So we have a bunch more dough coming. I like doing them like this. Some people glaze the top side, the side that was not against the pan. Some people glaze that side. I like this side because it's nice and flat and it kind of looks pretty, but you can do it either way. What else to say about that? I'm going to show you how some of that other stuff goes in just a second when I make the other buns, but I'm just getting this frosting on now because I want it to sort of melt in a little bit. And this frosting is a very basic frosting. There are definitely frosting recipes on the website. It's basically 2 cups of confectioner's sugar, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, 2 tablespoons of milk, and then you can add some vanilla to taste. You could add whiskey to taste. That might be good. You could add a lot of different things. So we'll let these hang out for a second, and I'll set them over here. All right. Now, how do we make the cinnamon buns? Is that my sugar? Yes. Okay. And my cinnamon. Okay. Here's a piece of dough. Now, if you want to make this as cinnamon buns, and in case anybody missed it, just a reminder, beautiful burger buns. So you tuned in to watch a burger bun video and someone's making cinnamon buns. Apologies, but you're gonna see they're really good. We made some the other day.
Yeah,
right?
they're so good.
Super good. Okay.
Already gone.
Already gone, for sure. Okay. So, I'm going to roll this a little bit and I'm going to see, as I'm rolling, I might just add a little bit of flour. So what I'm going for is a rectangle, and I could tell you like how thick to do it or how thinly to do it, but I think the easier way is to just say that it's 12 by 18. It's about 12 by 18. I'll get it started and then I'll stop and measure it just to see where we are. You don't have to get out your ruler or a yardstick or whatever to do this necessarily. The reason that I give the dimensions is because I like to have the rolls come out nice and even like those over there. And if I measure it, or if you measure it, especially if you haven't done it before, it helps you to get closer to what, to making them a little bit even, more even. Okay. Let's see how we're doing here. Somebody's done this before. Okay. Got about a ½ inch more to go on the side. And that should do it. Cut. All right, now, this is like a rounded cup of brown sugar. It's a rounded cup of brown sugar. Let's get some egg wash. You don't have to egg wash this. You don't have to. You can. You could use milk too. It doesn't really matter. What I do recommend is that you at least wash or wet, or even water would work too, this leading edge, because it's going to help them to seal a little bit. I have this egg wash here and it's just going to go to waste if I don't use it, so I'll go ahead and egg wash them a little bit. Okay. So here's a cup of brown sugar, and if before you use the brown sugar you go through it with your hands and make sure that it's not clumpy, it will make it a little easier for you to spread evenly. If there are some bumps or clumps in it, it can be kind of painful. Okay, so here's this coming through here. And I leave a little bit of a margin here so that I have something to where it'll stick. Now you'll see what I mean in just a second. Okay, so it's a rounded cup of brown sugar, and then it's about a tablespoon of cinnamon. And the way that I do that is I just go right out of the container. If you have one of those containers with a shaker top, that can be handy too. This one doesn't come with a shaker top, but I really like the quality of it. It's this Indonesian cinnamon that we have. Okay, now this is the most tricky part. I like to roll these with a little bit of tension, not hopefully in my body, but in the dough. So I start, if you start and give yourself a little bit of an edge like that, and then I come down. You see I'm stretching away and pulling towards myself, stretching away and pulling towards myself. I'm gonna get this started, and then Arlo, you're gonna jump in here and do this, because I can't be the only guy that makes cinnamon buns around here. Have you made cinnamon buns before?
Many times.
Many times. I apologize for not
Okay.
keeping that in my brain. Okay, Arlo, come over here.
Okay.
I want you to come over on my right-hand side. Or do you want to be on my left side? You come over here on my left side, that's fine. So watch here. I have both hands. I stretch away, and then I pull forward. And I stretch away, and I just roll forward. And you're gonna feel it. When you start doing that, you're gonna feel what I'm talking about.
So, you pull away.
Yep, and then roll it forward. Yep, yep. And just work your way down the line. And I'm gonna have a peek here. Oh yeah, okay. See how that feels?
Yeah, it's like,
So you feel it get a little tighter, right?
definitely.
Okay. So keep coming down a little bit. close? Okay, let's finish it up. Go ahead and come down until it's at the edge where it's going to stick. And then see how we're here? And just come in and press it. Press it to steel with your fingers. Yep, press it to where it really sticks. See how it's not sticking? Press hard enough, there you go, that it sticks. And then what you can do is you can look at it and say, it's a little bit bigger in the middle and that's not uncommon than it is on the sides. Okay, so we just roll it over. I come down and I'm looking to make sure that it's pretty even end to end. It looks pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to have, I need a dozen pieces. We need a dozen pieces. So how do I get a dozen out of this? So let's do one in the middle, and then we'll divide this into thirds. One, ooh, that wasn't perfect, but it's okay. All right, one. You could measure it too if you wanted to. And then what I do is, so now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I just need to cut each one in two, right? So I'll go through and I'll do the, cutting on the counter, but I'm being super careful because I don't want to scratch it. And then I just cut them in half, right? Okay. This should give us a dozen exactly, which is what I want.
Satisfying.
Is it pretty satisfying?
Totally.
It's nice to be accurate, right? I like working with accuracy. Okay. This is a greased baking dish. What's the dimension of that? 9 by 13? Yeah, it's not a size, 9 by 13. I guess, is that a quarter sheet? Yeah, it's a quarter sheet. Yeah. Okay, so then I just go in. And you see how these, if we've done a good job, there shouldn't be a bunch of gaps in there. It should look like a nice swirl pattern. And so 3 by 4, ready to go. And same as the rolls, these need to proof for just making sure they're even up. And this is the end piece. Make sure that that one's cut side up so that it looks nice and neat, because the other side is not quite as neat as the cut side. So I want it cut side up to make it nice and pretty. Okie dokie. Set those aside. They can proof for 60 to 75 minutes. And let's see. Let's show you the mix. And when you go to clean up your counter, this is a clean counter, so all that is sugar and cinnamon. And I just dump it on top of the buns. Don't waste it. Okay. The mix. Okay. What to say about the mix? Just like always, you want to make sure that ingredients are room temperature. If you have eggs in a dish, make sure that and they're going into a dough that needs to rise. Most of the time you want to put those eggs, if they're coming out of the fridge, either remember to take them out earlier in the day or just run some warm water and put the whole egg into the warm water, let it warm up for 20 minutes, and then it can go in and it'll be fine. Okay, so in the bowl I have all-purpose flour, I have yeast, I have sugar, and a little bit of salt. Pretty close? All right, you can stop that and have a look at them and see if they're getting nice and brown yet. The little ones will be finished before the big ones.
Oh, those
Yeah,
look
pretty
nice.
close, huh?
It's just the bottoms that
Pretty
need probably a little bit more.
Yeah, you think the bottom a little more? Okay, so put 2 minutes on it, and then we're going to take them out. 2 minutes. All the instructions for time and temperature on the bake are, as always, on included with the recipe on the website. So refer to that rather than me. We have a wonky oven, like really wonky, so that's something that we have to keep an eye on.
Quite sure.
Okay, so there's some butter in here. This butter was melted formerly. It's cold enough in here today that it's like reset, but it'll be okay. It's still soft enough to work. Okay, eggs and the water. I got this water, I drew it earlier. I did a couple of mixes of this dough already today, and I figured out in doing that I needed water that was like 105 degrees in order to get a temperature that was decent for the mix. Again, why is that important? This is why. Bread is a fermented food. It needs to ferment. If the temperature of this dough when I finish mixing is too cold, it doesn't ferment at a proper rate. And so one of the things that I really pay a lot of attention to is the temperature of ingredients. Because as bakers, listen, we're bakers, but more than that, baking is only the last 10 or 15 minutes of what we do that may take place over the course of a couple days. So what I like to say is that we're like fermentologists, we're doughologists. Bakers, that's the stuff that happens at the very end. So make sure that you're guiding fermentation well by using temperatures. And I've said it before, but often in the home environment, people don't have enough fermentation because we don't manage temperature that well, or you have a cold house, or all of those things. So keep it warm. This recipe has a range on the hydration or the water quantity. It has a range. If you're in a pretty humid environment, you may find that you use the lower amount of water. Yeah, go ahead and pull the bottom one, would you? The bottom tray at least, and maybe we'll look at the bottom, the top one in just a second.
Where should I put it?
Just put it right here on the stove. You got it? There you go. You got it?
Oh yeah.
Good. Set it right up there. Right there. Cool. Okay.
Those look good.
Those look good, right? Okay. Back over here, Anthem. So look at this dough. It's moist. I used the maximum quantity of water. There were, like I said, there's a range of hydration. I used the maximum. It feels soft, but it's going to be really good. It's going to be really good. So that mix is complete for me. I'm not going to mix it more than that for right now. What I'm going to do is cover it and then come back to it. I'm going to cover it and then I'm going to come back to it in a few minutes and give it some kneads and give it some folds. If you're using a stand mixer or another way to develop dough, you can just go straight through. I think it says mix to make a soft, smooth dough. And you should follow those instructions. Because I'm doing it by hand, often I do this method where I just mix to combine, set it aside, done. Okay.
Should there be a timer on this?
Yeah, well, you set a 2-minute timer on that. And what we're going to do is let's get some stuff together and we'll make ourselves a sandwich real quick.
Ooh, yeah, I'm so excited.
Okie dokie. I've got a little bit, set this aside, clean our workspace, that there, let's do this. You want sesame or poppy?
Either one.
Either one, okay. Let's get this kind of
I want the sesame.
You want sesame? Okay,
Yeah.
doesn't matter to me. Actually, we throw that in the trash room. We should probably give these a minute to cool off, but we're not going to. We're just going to eat them. Should we talk about this? Come over here, Anthony. Egg wash is what gives that nice shine, and I really like that. That to me, if I didn't know better, I'd think that was a brioche bun. And it's similar to brioche, but it's not. It doesn't have as much egg or butter. Structure looks great. Can you smell it, Arlo?
Smells good.
Smells good, right? Okay. Grab that arugula for me, would you? Pretty please. Okay. Let's do. So I was just looking through. I mean, it says that these are burger buns, but the truth is that a lot of times when we're having a bun like this, we're not eating a burger. We're making an egg sandwich, or we're making maybe a fancy tuna fish sandwich or something like that. There are a lot of options. And so this is just arugula with salt and pepper and a little bit of balsamic and olive oil. And then I've got a potato salad with quite a bit of, you can probably pull those out if you want. Yeah, let's take those out. We'll set them right up top there. Set them right up top. Or do you want me to grab it? I'll grab it.
You rotate it.
There we go. So this is a little bit of hard-boiled eggs with some celery and a lot of flat leaf parsley, salt and pepper. What else? should we put on there? Arlo, I've got those. Grab the peppermill for me too, would you?
Banana peppers, things?
Yeah, so I've got some pickled peppers, pickled spicy peppers.
They're good.
Yeah, those are gonna be good, right? Maybe one more there. And let's put some pepper.
Looks super good. Maybe a little bit too much for a small sandwich.
Did I overdo it?
Nah.
Nah, never. Oh my gosh, that looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Totally.
So,
Man, this looks amazing.
so these are this great, beautiful burger bun recipe. We showed you some cinnamon rolls too. I encourage you to think about doughs as more than just a single recipe, but as a class of things, so that you can use them for different things. You could make hot dog buns out of this. You could make, you could even make a loaf of bread if you wanted. So, cheers to you and yours. Thanks for joining us on another Bake With Us. Thanks, Arlo. Thanks, Anthem.
Yep.
Have a great day.
Mmm.
Half of your sandwich is on the floor. Thanks, buddy. Wow.
Whoa,
Cheers.
Very good.